Hey there! Welcome back to Reddit Dating, best channel for cheating stories. Make sure to like and subscribe the channel for more spicy stories.
My wife 38 female cheated on me 38 male. I suspected for too long and found proof on November 18th. The year 2000 marked the beginning of my relationship with my wife, and we were married in 2005. In 2010, we welcomed our son into the world. 13 years in a relationship, 8 years married, and a son who is 3.5 years old. Both of us have a large network of relatives and friends in the area who are willing to help with babysitting. Our home would have to be sold, and her parents would have to relocate if we got divorced, that rent a second house from us. I would keep that house, and my wife would sell the one in which we currently reside. It was just a few weeks ago that these topics were considered and, on the whole, an agreement was reached. I've had a sneaking suspicion that my wife was having an emotional affair with one of her coworkers for the better part of a year. I questioned her about it numerous times, every few days at the end, and even inquired as to whether she had sexual relations with him. She categorically rejected all of my questions. The woman claimed that he was a buddy, and she even showed me images of him and his family. She also told me where he worked, in the same field, but at a different firm, and she even filled me in on some of their talks. She was having such a good time with it that I even started referring to this guy as her lover. Our supper with her parents on November 17th was a casual affair, and he was introduced to her parents in the most informal of ways. The fact that my wife took just 5 seconds longer than usual to react to her parents told me that something wasn't quite right. Next morning, I got our family laptop and looked through her iPhone backups for any indication of what had happened. She had been sexting with him since early September and had been having a full-blown sexual relationship with him since early October, according to the evidence. As soon as I challenged her about it, she came clean, revealing everything, including having a one-night affair with the guy back in February of 2013, while attending a business conference. Briefly stated, there was a one-night affair in February 2013, sexting in September 2013, and a dozen or so sexual interactions in October and November of 2013. A 3-day honeymoon, in his words, was included during a work conference in October, which was the last piece. They had particular intentions to continue this through February 2014, when they would meet at the same conference where they had met the previous year. That was the point at which they both agreed, in writing, before I discovered them, that they would call it quits. I had my wife undergo STD testing, which came out negative, and she will follow up in 6 months. While we were having the affair, she and I were sleeping together, and we have continued to do so since then. What about the other guy? 42 years old, fairly prosperous, married with 3 children, and he lives in the same town as we do. While out shopping, I've already come face to face with him. The point is that we live close to one another and will have to deal with the possibility of running into each other occasionally. Neither his wife, 42, who is unemployed, nor his children are aware of the affair. His wife, according to my wife, would certainly go nuts and take him to the cleaners if she found out what she was up to. My wife and I are currently through treatment, couples and individual, to determine whether or not we want to continue to be together. I'm 25-75 or 75-25 depending on the day at this point, and she's 50-50 at this moment. We are quite cordial to one another, and I believe that we still have a mutual affection for one another at our core. A great degree of anguish, mistrust, tension, resentment and a plethora of other emotions can be expected as well, as can be expected. I believe that the relationship can be saved if both of us are willing to put in a significant amount of effort. One problem is that I'm not sure one of us will be able to endure the procedure for months on end, or even longer. We've talked about some of the reasons she did what she did, as well as some of the faults we both have in our relationship. We are now working on these, and I anticipate that it will take a long time. In the meantime, I'm having some difficulties with the following issues. I have a great desire to inform his wife of my discovery. I believe it would be ethically correct, and I would experience a feeling of accomplishment in righting that wrong. Consider it a retaliatory measure on my part against him. The difficulty is that doing so could have a negative impact on his professional life as well as my wife's. As a result, it could have a negative impact on me. I'm 99.9% certain I won't be able to tell my wife, but I can't help but fantasize about how I might be able to inform her while retaining culpable deniability. If my wife and I do end up divorcing, I am currently vengeful to the point that I am 99.9% certain that I will out him to his wife. Note aforementioned cleaner's comment. Trust. I have faith that my wife is no longer sleeping with or even interacting with this individual. My evidence that she is in good standing is substantial, not to mention the fact that I still have her iPhone backups, complete with mutually photos and texts. If I were to manage to catch them doing something else, It would be game over for me. If I go public, the individual stands to lose a lot of money. As a disclaimer, my wife did sneak about with impunity for a few months, and as a result, I'm still grappling with the question of who is this person that I'm married to. For the time being, I presume everything she says is a fabrication until I am able to reasonably verify it through independent study. How have other people relearned to put their faith in you? My own child. At 3.5 years old, he is still a child and is unlikely to recall anything about his mother and father as a marriage if she and I were to divorce now. In a year, this will no longer be the case. Right now, he appears to be completely unaware of our problems because, for the most part, we have maintained our composure when he is present. I'm confident, however, that he is aware of the tension that exists between us. I'm confident in saying that both she and I are more short with him than other people. Is there anyone else in the group who has been in a similar scenario with children of a comparable age? How did you deal with the situation, and how did things turn out for your children? Who can I put my trust in? She has informed her parents, sister, and a close friend of her decision. My out-of-town friends have also heard the same thing I have. In a nutshell, we've kept this a secret from our local friends, co-workers, and other acquaintances. Without a doubt, there is a part of me that longs to stand on a figurative hilltop and proclaim my convictions to the entire world. Realistically, however, even if we do manage to work our way through this, I'm not sure I want the ghost to continue to follow us around in public. Finally, do you have any additional suggestions, questions, or comments? I'm sure there was something I didn't notice. Update. I threw down the gauntlet approximately 1.5 months ago, after months of suffering. Either progress or separation. Her idea of recuperation at the time was just to wait for time to take its course, which she did not believe was necessary or even desirable. Over the course of 6 weeks, we've worked our way up to tonight's second divorce mediation session. The first was an introduction, and with this one, we're starting to make plans. In the weeks leading up to this, we worked out some financial details, decided on custody arrangements, and reached an agreement on a number of minor problems. We're going to start formalizing it tonight. The last several days have been very difficult. I adore her, but I can't seem to get the anger out of my system. It's as though my thoughts regarding the affair are locked in a loop in my head. I'm torn between feelings of vengeance, on the other person, and terrible sadness that she done this to our family, and everything in between. I think of the difficult moments and loneliness that will be experienced over the following few months as everything is worked out, and I ponder about what am I doing here? Why aren't you able to simply forgive her? Then she'll say something that will bring everything back to the surface. The most recent is that I'm becoming increasingly insistent that someone informs the other guy's wife about the situation. She has a legal right to be informed. My wife is adamantly opposed to it and has threatened to withdraw from mediation, and commence litigation, if I proceed down that path. Those dire warnings. It's quite telling. Her motivation is to simply make everything disappear. Since that fateful day, everything she has done has been geared around minimizing the consequences of her affair. This drives me insane. I am so looking forward to putting this all behind me and moving into my own place, meeting new people and spending more time with my baby. All of the nonsense that has been introduced into my life as a result of the affair is taxing. Sorry for the inconvenience. It's time to go to mediation. Update 1. You can read my prior posts for the backstory. Basically, my longtime wife cheated and we are now separated, living under one roof, and working through divorce mediation. Only one problem: once a week we screw like we mean it. I mean friggin' hot, good sex. We go about a week, get all frustrated, and then let it out in one crazy session. We've been doing this now for a few weeks. The day after we're always a bit weird, and it doesn't change how I, or she, truly feels. I'm still super for the affair and I don't view her as healthily wife material. I don't want to hang on. She wants to get back together but isn't willing to really own her and fix things. I move out on August 1st. Is this weekly hookup thing normal for people still under the same roof? I'm assuming so, and I'm assuming it will dwindle off in the coming weeks. Anyone experienced anything like this? Update 2. So, 1 year ago tomorrow morning was my D-Day, which takes place tomorrow morning. Oh my God, time has flown by so rapidly. The emotions, discoveries, planning, explaining, and reasoning were all on a roller coaster ride. By December of last year, I was convinced that we were not going to make it. She was completely oblivious to her actions, there was no treatment, no apologies, and she was completely consumed by herself. It took me months to get the courage to make some adjustments in my life. As of April, my STBX was still refusing to take any action, and it was evident that I was neither a priority in her life, nor would I ever be one. She is a wonderful lady, but she had gone completely off the rails, at least with regards to our marriage. I ended my relationship with her in May and moved out in August. We have stayed friends, and things are more pleasant now than they have been in a few years for both of us. I'm dating, she's dating, and we're doing a good job of co-parenting. We've gone through mediation, after completing the MSA back in the summer, and the divorce paperwork has been presented to the court. I haven't forgiven her, and I recognize that what she did was heinous, but I have come out of it a better person as a result of the experience. In many respects, she is still a hot mess, but she is her own hot mess, which is something. I'm in good shape, I'm on my own, and things are looking up.